quantum racing is back at the top of the world. Rolex TV52 World Champ.
They win the World Championship title for the third time on the final run.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey. Let's see how you do under pressure. Yeah. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever. Hey. Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever.
So day 3 here in Newport at the 2024 Rolex TV52 World Championship. A challenging day. We're having a little bit of a delay to start with, but the good news is we caught up with the regatta leaders, the World Championship leaders, and that is of course Gladiator Tony Langley and Gage Parada. So here we are in Newport, day 3 of the Rolex TV52 World Championships. We've got the regatta leaders, the World Championship leaders. How do you feel this morning, Gage?
I'm feeling a little bit better. I was sick for the last 3 days, so I'm improving every day. But looking forward to the racing today. It's been an interesting venue so far, so we are looking forward to what the weather is bringing us.
Tony, a little bit different for you, perhaps, World Championship leading at this stage?
Yeah, it's all uncharted territory, this is.
How do you feel about it? How do you approach it? How do you approach every day?
Well, the process starts at 7 o'clock in the morning when the container doors open, and it goes from there, one step at a time.
I mean, you've said, Gage, that one of the things you've brought to this team is the more rigid, the solid processes.
I think that the routine is good. It's a very long season, and for sure you will have up and downs, and the routine keeps your average better, for sure. You stick to a way of making things that you learn through the years that keep you out of trouble most of the time, so you try to stick to that and make sure that the process is keeping you safe.
Tony, where do you see the kind of processes? You're cracking the whip a lot of the time, I see.
Yeah. Well, it's it's not a lot different to running a business, running a race team.
But has it changed in the way that you run the team then with Gage?
Yeah, certainly since the beginning of last season we've been more process driven, and I'm more comfortable with that, and also in this role, because I'm running the team, whereas for the previous 10 years I was driving the boat, and that's all absorbing.
I'm very sorry.
He's very busy. It's his bank, I think, isn't it? Tony, just talk to us a little bit more about how you feel your season's going this year.
Well, results speak for themselves, But we're just obviously we're very pleased with where we are at the moment. But when today is halfway through the World Championship and halfway through the season as well.
You're in good shape.
Yeah.
So where does it go from here today?
The goal is to keep doing what we're doing. I mean, I'm honestly not taking a lot of thinking about the results. I think that the season is way too long and we're just starting over. We are all even, so basically it's a clean start from the second half. That's all. It's not a different day than yesterday or tomorrow. So every day counts the same.
And how's your relationship evolved since you started sailing together?
I would say we hit it off pretty well from the get-go.
No big fallouts?
A few.
The necessary ones.
The necessary ones. But I mean, that's good, isn't it, in a way?
I think that everybody needs to be honest and tell what he thinks, and that as soon as you talk with the aim of making the team better or improving and with respect, I think it's part of your job to tell things even when sometimes they are not very nice things. So I think that as far as you look at the other face and tell something that you are really convinced that you're telling him the truth, that's fine. I appreciate when someone comes also and tell me, I think you made a mistake here, here, and here, and he tries to demonstrate. And if I can learn from that, I will appreciate it. So I'm very open to that.
Indeed. So, Tony, a little bit like a marriage.
No comment.
But talk to us about, Guige, yes.
I think it's a lot easier here. I mean, he can fire me tomorrow, I can leave tomorrow, and it will be a lot easier.
But Tony, you love it here, don't you?
I do. I like Newport. It's one of my favourite venues. Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about your setup here then. You're on the Thara. On your big boat.
Oh, on the big boat. Yeah, we've got the Talia here, the 160-foot ketch. Yeah, so that's base camp for us. This regatta, we're doing the debriefs on there, and the guys are eating dinner.
A little bit of an oasis of calm.
Yeah, it is, and it's a good focal point, for the team. We do a debrief. That's part of our routine. Debrief goes into dinner. Within an hour, the guys are done and off to bed. So all part of it.
Good for you. Tell us where you'd like to go in the future then. We've obviously got next season mapped out. As an owner, where would you like to see the circuit go?
Well, I think we need to go to to glamorous places for the good of the class. I'm really pleased that we got here, and I was very pleased that we got Saint-Tropez. I was campaigning for that. I think we should do more south of France. Personally, I'd like to go to Monaco, but Antibes, Cannes would be high on my list.
You wouldn't mind that, Guige?
I think that it's the owner's decision, and we I'm talking as a class president now, though as a circuit president now. I think that we try to please everyone as much as we can, and also taking into account the logistics. I mean, finding a place that can support us, and also the wind conditions, and having a fair and proper race course. So I think that we have pretty balanced season, and next year with Saint-Tropez, Cascais, Bayona, I think we are in really good shape.
Monaco, you'd like?
I like it ashore. I'm not so sure about the wind conditions. We need to find the proper
time of year.
Time in the year, because otherwise it could be very, very light.
Good. Anywhere else in your wish list?
Well, I like when we went to Croatia. I know it's too far away, but the surrounding was beautiful. So hopefully sometimes we could go back there.
Good. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers. So there we go. Tony Langley and Guige Parada going afloat as leading the regatta. Let's look back and see what happened yesterday with our highlights. Well, the second day of racing in prospect here at the Rolex T52 World Championships in Newport, Rhode Island. Lighter forecast, 2 good races yesterday for sled, 2 second places. They're on top of the table.
Boat's going well, team's going really well, and it just shows what a tough place Newport is to sail.
But that's just the first day. Let's see what happens on day 2. Compared to day 1, the breeze is much lighter for the start of race 3. The wind axis is 235 degrees, probably 8 knots on the start line. A really good start from Gladiator at the pin end of the line. Value this time starting more towards the right and go up the right of the upwind. Gladiator come round with a comfortable lead at the top mark. Value second, Platoon around in third, overlap with Paprec. Down the first run, it's pretty straightforward. Gladiator with a comfortable lead from Value, but it's really on the last run. Well, Gladiator and Value are well clear. The breeze eases off. Quantum Racing found a little bit more pressure out on the left side. So Gladiator first, Value second, Quantum Racing powered by American Magic get third. Just a little bit more breeze for race 4. Nice start from Gladiator off the pin end of the line. Phoenix actually get the best start in the middle. But up the top mark, it's Gladiator leading from Phoenix, with Allegra going round nicely in third. Quantum Racing make a nice gain down the first run. Through the leeward gate, it's Gladiator leading comfortably. Quantum up to second. Through the finish line, Gladiator win. Quantum Racing get the best result of the regatta so far in second. Allegra get third, keep themselves in contention.
It was one of those days that everything seems to go your way. Tony made the good calls on the side of the course. We executed 2 clean starts and the boat is going well. The crew did a good job.
We have been so far very consistent, but it's definitely a tricky venue and tricky race course. So we're happy with what we've done so far, but it's a long way to go still.
We had 2 good starts. The boat, we were going pretty well, but the main thing was we were able to execute our plan, and our plan worked pretty well.
So after 4 races, Gladiator 3 race wins are on 12 points. In second place are Allegra on 16 points. Third place, the Value on 18, and fourth, Sled on 19. Newport, Rhode Island, once again delivering contrasting conditions. A slightly less breeze in the first race, but still the same for the Gladiator, now going 3 race wins in a row. But as ever in the 52 Super Series, one day you're the top dog, the next day you're the lame duck. Stay with us. Indeed, Newport delivering yesterday with 2 races. Unfortunately, today it looks like it might be one. We've had a long wait this afternoon. The fleet went out round about 1 o'clock. I think we're anticipating a start round about 2, but it's been a long wait on the waters this afternoon. It's been muggy, it's been warm, and then a nasty little swell has tested 1 or 2 stomachs, a little bit of seasickness out there, I believe. But nonetheless, we do have some breeze. It's almost, in fact, it's just after 5 o'clock local time. We have 4 or 5 knots of breeze building up to 6 on the line. And we're looking at a start in just over 2 minutes' time. So the big question is whether Gladiator can maintain this run of form, 3 wins back to back. The breeze has we're still in the breeze round about 2:30. I haven't seen the actual wind direction as yet, but to all intents and purposes, that has been the wind direction through these races, and it's pretty much the same thing off the left-hand side of the line has worked for Gladiator, and they've worked the left side of the course, and that's really been their passport to these 3 wins. Allegra being nice and consistent, no top 2s so far, but 3, 4, 6, 3. They're very much contenders at the moment. Value a little bit more up and down, with a first and a second, a 7th and an 8th. But so, looking at how things are shaping up, Platoon and Sled more towards the committee boat end of the line. Sled have been generally quite happy to work the right. Down to the left side of the line towards the pin end. Well, there you see it. Gladiator, the World Championship leaders, at 1 minute to go. They're in their customary position close to the pin. They have Phoenix and Paprec down close to them. Middle of the line we have Alpha Plus, now Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, just a boat length or half a boat length behind Alpha Plus. And it's the final 35 seconds before the start. Platoon Aviation needing some top 3 scores. Well, they're towards the committee boat end of the line. And now it's all about the speed build, finding a space to lure to drive into, finding a lane, and it's you want to hit the line with maximum speed on the gun. I'm seeing the bow down on Paprec, 3 boats up from the pin end of the line. Just look, all clear indeed, all clear. Interlodge a little bit slow at this end of the line, at the committee boat end of the line. Nice start from Gladiator, as I've said consistently. Guigi Parada, one of the best starters, time on distance. It's all about hitting that start line with pace and options, and if you can come off the line with pace, you give yourselves options. Quantum not quite as good, but on this end of the line we're seeing Platoon Aviation tacking off early, Vasco and Jordi Calafat electing to go to the right. Seem to have quite good timing on the line. Allegra also pretty good off the line. That's them just in the middle of our picture. Interlodge, a couple of boat lengths behind the line when the gun went. Need to work on their starting just a little bit. The Platoon into nice breeze on this right side. So to say a big test. Having had that long delay, you really have to lock into race mode. Jump into maximum focus. That's never easy, even for these top pro sailors on this the world's leading Grand Prix monohull circuit. Louise, you're joining us. How are things looking at your side of the course?
Andy, so we finally start racing. This is very good. We had 5 hours delay and it was so hard outside here with so big waves. And now everybody's pretty happy to race, and I think all the teams, they had to dial in the conditions immediately, and we have quite light wind, so only 5 to 7 knots. That's pretty light in this big sea state out here. And I'm going up the racecourse side on the right side together with Platoon Aviation. We're just leeward of them. And there is a little bit of breeze here. It's very puffy, very hard conditions to sail. And Gladiator is sailing all the way to the left side, as they've been doing it the last 3 races as well. Platoon went for the split here on the right side. I think they want to take a bit more risk. They need to move up in that leaderboard. And I think usually what is happening on this racetrack is that on the right side you get this right band of breeze. So that's actually where you want to be, just in regard of distance to sail towards the mark. And we remember we always want to sail less meters to be the fastest at the mark. But at the left side we usually get a bit more breeze, so that was always the big gain we've seen the last races for Gladiator. So I think now it's the question, it's so late, we haven't been racing so late yet, the breeze filled in so late, so will we have the more pressure on the left side again, or will it be the right bend here on the right side that will give the boats the advantage?
Indeed, I mean the gamble is with Gladiator just now. I think our wind axis is 255. We've been racing in 230 and 240 off the start lines. But yesterday we saw some quite big shifts in the second race, up to 30 degrees at times. So I'd imagine that we'll see this breeze being quite unsettled, but we're just watching. Just saw from a values perspectives, we saw Gladiator crossing in front of them. Value then have a little bit of work to do. They're in 10th just now, and they have Quantum Racing powered by American Magic just in front of them. But a Gladiator, great start once again. That's been one of their strong suits, consistently able to get off the line. They always give themselves space. Is one of the advantages of starting at the pin or near the pin. But also there, Allegra in second place at this World Championship. Going really nicely, boats beautifully powered up. Just to windward of Interlodge. Quantum Racing powered by American Magic, Louise, not really getting the start they wanted. They seem to be just a little bit slow on the line.
Yes, Andy, I agree with you. I think they weren't making the build-up as they really wanted it, but Gladiator was nailing the start again. And this morning I spoke a little bit with the fleet and asked them, so Gladiator showed us 3 times you need to start at the pennant and go to the left. Why is nobody else going to the pennant? And I've heard the Gladiator almost has a pole position for the pennant already. So they're just so strong starting at the pennant and always nailing that start that the other boats don't really want to mess with them anymore around there, because they feel like they can only lose that start. And if you lose a start at the pennant, that's really painful for the rest of the race, because then you need to tack out and cross all the other boats on starboard in the back, and you're kind of locked out on the right side. So they kind of seem to make their life a little bit easier by actually being really good. So nobody else comes to the pin end anymore. And I really like the start of Allegra as well, starting a little bit more windward of them and nailing that start, having more options. And I think that sounds like the way to go if you're not Gladiator. But what a strong position if nobody else comes to you to the pin end anymore. What a great team this is. I also spoke with their helm this morning, Guillermo Parada, and he said he's just feeling the most confident starting at the pin. So this is a real super strength for them.
It does indeed. I mean, it's all about risk. And you maybe you go down there thinking you can do better than Gladiator, but the risk is there. And as you say, Luis, if you come off second best, then you can be in trouble. And you're attacking to get clear air, losing your lane. And in this fleet, that's very expensive. Anyway, overhead of sled just now. Sorry, Interlodge, I beg your pardon. Interlodge coming back a little bit. Started not so well, but they have a lot of the local experts on board, including Cameron Appleton, Dave Armitage from who's a local, and it's of course a Newyork Yacht Club boat. The team are based out of Newport, which I don't think you can really say about sled or indeed Quantum Racing and powered by American Magic. Now we're seeing Gladiator coming back at the fleet on port. I think we're just seeing they are close with sled just now. And in fact, I think just deciding that they have to tack inside. So not quite as straightforward for them this time off that left-hand end of the line. Certainly not crossing Platoon or indeed Allegra. So a little bit of a bump back to earth, back to reality in certain senses for Gladiator. Options opening for Platoon and in particular Allegra. Allegra only 4 points behind Gladiator. Also liking the look of Interlodge, considering how they started. This right side looks quite strong, Louise.
Andy, I fully agree with you, and Platoon didn't really had a great start. They were a bit late, didn't really make it inside the starting line because the current was also pushing them out a bit, and then they just immediately tacked out, went to that right side and almost tacked on ley line. So it looks like we have this right bend here and pressure, so it looks very different than all the other upwinds we had so far. Quantum Racing going to the very left side and now coming back on not a nice angle, and the boats here towards the right, they can just point a little bit higher than the boats leeward of them. So it feels like that this upwind, it was more the right bend than the pressure on the left side.
And just in terms of the World Championship as a whole, the regatta as a whole, great to see a little bit of variety, not the same pattern every day, every race. And also good to see the 2023 World Champions and the 2023 52 Super Series Champions in the lead. It's been a nice confidence booster for them, at least, going up this first windward leg. Race 5, the middle race of the regatta in theory. Hopefully we'll get 10 races, but we need breeze in the second half. Anyway, on board with Platoon Aviation, just getting a visual on the windward mark. I'm sure that this is looking a little bit more expensive for Gladiator out on that left side. How do you feel Platoon Aviation are on ley line relative to the ley line, Louise?
So I'm just driving up to the windward, really close to ley line already, and they needed to take that risk to make the split go to the right side.
Yeah. So we just lost Louise there, but she's just saying that she feels they needed to take a little bit more risk, and they've done that. That's what they were saying this morning. And Platoon, that's paying off for them at the moment. So too for Sled, Allegra, Gladiator in fourth. Gladiator took that little hitch back into the fleet. But Platoon, for me, just above ley line or on ley line as they come in to approach this weather mark. First round of race number 5. But looking like a consistent right shift up this beat. Platoon were up in the top 3 yesterday, but in the first race, I think, but then missed out, I think, in the second race. They had to wheelbarrow round, not able to come in on port, and that cost them pretty heavily with that in 9th place. So they are bouncing back with a reasonably comfortable lead just now, about 70 or 80 metres. And we good to see Interlodge back on the water after their technical problems yesterday, but so credit to their shore team. Platoon Aviation round. Now they're going to be really actually quite comfortably round. Gladiator coming in. There'll be a couple of boats behind Allegra. And Allegra coming round in second. Interesting talking to Will Ryan and Nick Asher, just saying that they tend not to so much have a big plan, a big strategy. They like to just see what the breeze is doing and make their calls as they go. Then Sled coming round in third. Interlodge in fourth. Gladiator going to get round, I think, in fifth. They've certainly put a little bit in the bank just to make. I think there's a little bit of current here up at this windward mark. Anyway, Gladiator round now. Watching how Phoenix come in on a very slender ley line, having to work hard to get round that. These waves that Louise has been talking about, just making it quite hard when you're underpowered and fighting for height. Alpha Plus go round next in 6th. 7th then was Phoenix. And way back, Quantum, Paprec and Vayu. So Quantum, that decent day yesterday with a 3 and a 2. At the moment they're 8th, and they're really a little bit out of touch with this race. For the meantime, alongside Paprec, Vayu unfortunately lying 3rd and in the regatta, but 10th on the water. So things looking good for Platoon, Louise. They sailed a really good first beat.
Andy, yeah, so we just had this massive right shift coming in at the final part of the of the upwind. So most of the boats even overstood the ley line because the right shift was so big, and then they could already hoist the kite on the offset and could immediately jibe around the offset mark, and now are basically going already straight to the next gate. So big right shift out here. The forecast also said that there's more pressure in the west of us, so that would actually speak for a right shift. I think nobody expected this big right shift. But yes, I think Quantum Racing, as you said, probably was looking a little bit more for what actually happened the other races before. They seem to be a little bit out of touch now, but we've also seen that in these light conditions, everything is still possible. And we still have very, very big waves out here.
Indeed. But also I think Platoon looking just a little bit slipperier, a little bit quicker on that upwind. Obviously seem to have the pressure and the shift, but certainly I think starting to get to grips with this boat. Interestingly enough then, the two new boats, Platoon Aviation and Allegra, both these new boating designs launched for this season, now in first and second on this race. Gladiator for the meantime are fifth on the water, chasing Interlodge hard down this run. But of course, Luis, with that right shift that we've been talking about, everybody's just lined up on port coming down here. It's much of a procession, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, Andy. So when I say we then always talk about it's a one-way street, at the moment there are not really a lot of options. You just need to follow the train. This is what we say, because there's nothing really you can do. The wind shifted so much right. You can basically at this point only focus on yourself. Try to sail that boat fast. It's a very strange angle to the waves as well. It's not really aligned in wave direction. The wave is coming a bit more sideways, so it lifts the boat up sideways and then accelerates you a little bit, and this is always the moment where it's up to the grinders to grind really fast so that the kite doesn't flap. So from the outside it would look a little bit boring at the moment, but actually there's a lot going on these boats now.
Indeed, a speed test down this run, but quick update on the points position or projected points. Gladiator are leading the overalls just now by 17 points. Allegra moving up, or in terms of closing up to 18 points, just a point in it. Sled in third, and Platoon, by virtue of this first position at the moment, of course this is just projected, would move themselves up to fourth and certainly into contention for the podium places. And of course we're only halfway through this World Championship, but Gladiator really need to get through Interlodge, indeed make some places, open up that or try and rebuild that lead that they went onto the water with. They were 4 points ahead when they started. But Platoon going pretty quick.
We've just been speaking about Platoon Aviation before, that they're going a bit more quick than the other boats, and they're having a stay sail up. That's a sail they pull up only for the downwind. And Platoon was the first boat putting that stay sail up and sailing with a scannaker, a stay sail and a mainsail. Allegra has realized, oh, they're going pretty quick, and now to pulled up their stay sail. So let's see when the rest of the fleet will also pull up their stay sails. It was quite interesting to see that Platoon Aviation was the first one doing it and making big gains, and then Allegra following it. So now you have 4 people heavily working on that boat. You have the downwind trimmer who's trimming the gennaker, speaking all the time with the helm steering the boat accordingly to what the downwind trimmer is also telling him. Then you have the upwind trimmer steering the stay sail, and you have the main trimmer trimming the main, and you also have obviously the tactician and strategist working, thinking, using all their brain cells to figure out what will happen on the next leg.
Indeed, Vasco Viscotto there, the tactician, just telling everyone to keep cool, keep calm, just keep doing their jobs, move with the boat, keep the maximum power on. But I think the breeze has picked up very slightly, but they've opened up to be nearly 200 metres ahead of Allegri. What we're watching all the time as well as Gladiator on Interlodge, that seems to be staying fairly steady. Quantum up to 7th, got themselves through Phoenix for the meantime. But Alpha Plus, pretty consistent really. Nice to see them in the middle of the fleet, generally. And definitely on our list of teams to talk to this week. I say, what a great, they're another team which are just a great advert for the 52 Super Series and what you can achieve coming in, putting in the work, sailing smart, moving your program forwards. And for sure, a little bit of variety at the front of the fleet in the shape of platoon. Just coming into the Leeward.
Andy, I'm down here at the gate now and the wind is just clicking up. So I think we have 10 knots now. This is way better now for the boats with that sea state to sail in. They finally accelerate, they can play more with the waves and they move a lot quicker now. So now we will actually see what will happen on the second upwind as we have a bit more breeze. I wonder if they go again to the right or what will happen next. They also changed the course. They moved the course more to the right. And now it's up to Platoon to make a first decision of what mark to round.
It's gone to, I think she said 275. It's gone from 255 to 275 for the windward mark. And I reckon we're probably still at 1.5 miles, 1.6 miles for the 1.4 actually. So she's actually shortened the length of the upwind leg. But the bearing I think was 275. So 20 or moved the windward mark 20 degrees to the right. But really that lead for Platoon Aviation just now really looking pretty healthy. Nice drop. Just keeping it tight. So Harmuller Spear then on the helm. Vasco Vascotto beside him telling him what he feels they want to do. So Maria Torrijo, our principal race officer, said just keeping it tight. No need to make the team sail any more distance this late in the afternoon. Want to get a good race away, and so a 1.4 mile beat at this stage is plenty. And watching Allegri come through in second. Sled in third. Certainly Allegri and Sled about evenly distanced apart. Everybody going round the same mark, Louise.
Yes, Andy, this mark is massively favored if you compare it with the other marks, so I'm not very surprised they're all around this mark. They're all identified that this mark is a lot better, and they also don't have any other problems with other boats, so that's why they're all rounding that mark. And if you would ask me what side to pick for the upwind, I think I would also go over the right side. So I think this might be again a one-way street maybe for the upwind. Vayu tried to split on that downwind. This morning when I spoke with Don, the helm, 28 years old, the son, he said that he has the feeling for this World Championship, it's a bit more now or never. The boats really want to push to win this event. So you really want to take risks sometimes if you have to move up in the results.
So Gladiator round behind Interlodge don't seem to have made much of an impression on Interlodge's lead. Then Alpha Plus still in 6th. Then Phoenix still 7th. And still a little bit of catching up for Quantum to do to get to Phoenix. I mean, we're very, very much focused on the World Championships, the Rolex TP52 World Championship 2024, but as we were saying in our introduction, and as Tony Langley was mentioning quite clearly in his interview, this is the very much the midpoint of the Circuit Championship, and really it's wide open. Quantum came here with a lead, but they've been pretty inconsistent in a race like this. Another 8th or 9th is very, very expensive when you look at the need to win the overall championship. Correspondingly, a race like this is good for Platoon, who have really been pretty up and down, and mostly down really in the first part of the season. So Platoon really came good in the second half of last season. So we're seeing Gladiator having gone split to the left a little bit. You can just see in that shot. Gladiator trying to break to the left and find something to get past Interlodge. Certainly not going to catch Sled and Allegra at the moment, so do something a little bit different. But look at that lead for the defending world champions just now. German flagged Platoon Aviation. Ross Halcrow there just squeezing in a few centimetres on the jib, suggesting the breeze is coming in just slightly stronger. Just closing down the leach slightly. As the breeze builds. The top three then pretty evenly spaced, you'd have to say.
Andy, we have...
Go on, Louise.
Andy, we have 8 to 11 knots out here now. So they started with 5 to 7 knots. So we have almost the double of wind now. So I think if they could choose, they would have chosen other sails if they would have known at high tide, because they are allowed to choose their sails. They have different kind of sails regarding to the wind strength. So now they really have to make these sails work in the double of wind. It's a lot of work now for the trimmers, because they want to trim it perfectly, but in hindsight they would already like to pick another sail. Just spoke with Ian Liberty yesterday. He's the upwind trimmer of Quantum Racing, and they changed 8 times their jib yesterday, and we only had 3 starts. So imagine how often they had to change their sails in the breaks.
They did. That's hard work and physical work for the bow team Just looking quickly at Allegra and Sled as they pretty much evenly spaced. Now the top three. Interlodge kind of defending against Gladiator. But yes, a nice evening breeze now for this race. I would imagine we'll just get the one race. It's 25 to 6 local time. So the positions changing in the
These are amazing
middle of the
conditions
leaderboard.
now for the TP.
Go on, Louise.
These are amazing conditions now for the TP52. They have the whole crew hiking outside, so the boat is fully powered up. And they got waves to play with. What is also very interesting and nice that these boats can sail so nicely in waves. And I'm really happy that we got these better conditions now. We have more or less stable wind and wind strength. Some shifts, the right side still looks a lot better. If I look now down the racetrack, I see all the boats coming here out to the right, just pointing higher when they tack onto starboard. So it looks like that this right bend is now paying off, and it's not the left side anymore as we had all the races before.
Indeed, just slightly different wind direction, racing later in the day. But for sure, I would imagine that the teams would consider that this weight has been worth it. Long afternoon with next to no wind, but quite humid this week and very warm and sticky. So in the end, being rewarded with a good breeze, as Louise said, probably 9 or 10 knots now. And Platoon Aviation's number one focus is just keeping a loose cover on the boats behind. That's to say, staying between them and the next mark, just matching their moves so that they don't lose sight of the, particularly the boat behind Allegra. But it's 220 meters or so. That's pretty comfortable. All the time I'm just monitoring the delta between Interlodge and Gladiator. Gladiator have caught up to Interlodge for sure and have got themselves to the right, to windward of Interlodge. So let's keep an eye on them for the next cross. There we go. And that is indeed watching as Interlodge tack on top of Gladiator. Guiche Parada just looking over his shoulder, seeing what's going on behind him. It's just this chess match. You certainly don't want to sit in the dirty air of Interlodge for long, so they tack away to keep their lane clear, but all the time looking to see what's going on round about them in terms of the other boats, Alpha Plus. But they're closing up. So Louise, then Platoon Aviation coming in on port towards the top mark.
Exactly, Platoon is about to round the upwind mark very soon, and I think they extended their lead. So for me, they were going fast on the upwind, and also Allegra had to follow them in the maybe still bad air Platoon Aviation gave to them. So now for them, it's quite easy. You just want to avoid mistakes and want to go fast. So you kind of just stay in that loose cover. They already managed their well on the second upwind. And here they roll into the attack to round the second upwind mark.
That's right. And putting just a little bit in the bank, not wanting to get too close to the mark, as they can do with a lead of over or just on 200 meters. Beautiful late afternoon, early evening light. considering it's been quite grey and overcast through some of the day. Anyway, Gerd Harbour-Miller there, the one of the grounders, just max hike and then just coming in to help with the grind, formerly an Olympic bobsled athlete. And very much the powerhouse of the platoon aviation team. Allegri just
So
coming
what a lead they already have. They're on downwind now and Allegri is just rounding the upwind mark, Andy.
Yeah, Allegri coming round now. I don't think they'll be too concerned about sled behind. Just watching now, there's Francesco Mongelli, the navigator. Will Ryan giving max height for the moment, I think. The legs there are Nick Asher's. Twisted his ankle a couple of days ago. But a great afterguard, the combination of Will Ryan and Nick Asher, Francesco Mongelli, and then the old guard sled coming round in third. Interlodge then pushing hard, giving nothing away to Gladiator. Nice tight ley line called by the Michele Avaldi as the navigator this week. Hugely experienced navigator who's sailed with Quantum in the past and sled in the past. Back on board, look how nicely powered up Gladiator are going across this offset, so this time no kites, suggesting the breeze is much more even. Just getting to the offset mark. Simon Fry then coming inboard, set up to take the Jennifer sheet going downwind. Jeff Colby there, legendary grinder on the Gladiator team there with the Union hat on. Going forward to help get the jib down. So what's that, 19 seconds or so between Interlodge and Gladiator. No great cause for concern, but unable to carry on with that winning streak. So Gladiator staying the same, Alpha Plus staying the same, as indeed do Phoenix in 7th, Quantum Racing in 8th, 9th Paprec and Vayu way back in 10th. So the fleet really is quite spread out on this race, Louise, isn't it? The difference between Platoon and Vayu is a big, big distance.
Yes, so I would agree with you, Andy. For Platoon Aviation, it's a more easy game now. I think also for Allegro, these two boats, they want to maybe attack now. And I'm quite surprised. Quantum Racing and the French boat Paprec, they made a little bit of a comeback. They could close the gap to the middle of the fleet, so they can maybe still catch some boats. There can be still some change, but I think the first two boats are gone. And we had a nice little moment here at the upwind mark. I think Allegro is just feeling very happy. They pulled off a great week so far, having consistent results, being in second. So Will Ryan gave me a little wave whilst they were rounding the upwind mark. So they seem to be happy with their results so far, and being in the second place is also a great result for this boat. And we were speaking about the 470 afterguard they're having. And I think we can mention this now. This is a good moment. So they have Nick Asher and Will Ryan working together, tactician and strategist. And then they have the old crew of Nick Asher, Elliot Willis. He's the coach, so he's on the coach boat watching them. They won 2 times the World Championship together. And then we have also Sylvia Mas, 470 world champion. She's the girl on board, and she does the float. And then we even have Andy Hemmings. He's the downwind trimmer. He went 3 times for England to the Olympic Games in the 470. So this crew could open their own 470 fleet up with having 5 so successful 470 sailors.
That's right. So Gladiator a point ahead of Allegra. Allegra 4 points up on sled. Platoon moving up to 4th by virtue of their position at the moment, and Value correspondingly dropping to 5th. Quantum would be 7th, and Ware going into this race we're up to 5th. So a little bit of a place changing in the middle of the fleet. But really for the top 2 at least, they can pick their own lane of breeze. Certainly looking at that shot, I would say Allegra going quite nicely. But in terms of picking the downwind pressure, I'd certainly back Vasco and Geordie most of the time.
I'm driving down to the downwind gate, and I'm just having a great view now on Platoon Aviation and on Allegra. And Platoon Aviation is really so much in front already. They just need to keep it simple and easy now, make the next drive into the finish, and they will win this race. And it reminds me a little bit of last year's World Championship in Barcelona, where we had the Rolex TP52 World Championship, and Platoon Aviation managed to win this event by the last downwind leg. So they also had a bit of a difficult start of the event and then just improved. What do you think, Andy?
I think there's a long way to go still in this regatta, but for sure it's great to see Platoon getting back to the front of the fleet. And I think it's as much as anything, it'll give them a massive injection of confidence. I think they may just rue the fact that it's just the one race. It's never easy to just feel like you've won a race. You really want to just keep going and keep pushing and try and repeat. But I'm pretty sure we'll just get the one race today. But we'll see. For sure, our principal race officer, Maria Torrijo, always does best by the teams. Gladiator and Interlodge, well, there you go. Gladiator appear to have got themselves through Interlodge. That will give them another point of lead over Allegra. So they could come ashore with 2 points rather than 1, so credit to, and in fact, you can just see Interlodge just the weather. Maybe not quite as clear as their 4th and 5th just now. But if Gladiator want to get down inside Interlodge before the mark. Gigi Parada on the helm there. Austin Fragaman on the helm of Interlodge. Interesting, just in terms of the dynamic there, you can see. Or I would say that Guige, in this situation, doing what he wants kind of intuitively. Knows the game, knows what he has to do to get round Interlodge. But in the meantime, a big lead for Platoon coming down to the finish.
Beautiful pictures out here now with the sun slowly setting, and I think we can still see a nice match between Interlodge and Gladiator, because they're not on ley line yet, so they will need to do another jibe, and Gladiator head up because they were in the bad air of Interlodge. We can see this on the tracking, so let's see what will happen between these two boats later.
Indeed, it's going to go, I think, to the line, but Platoon Aviation going really well. They've led all the way through this race from the top mark, coming off the line nicely, getting out to the right. One race is here, I think, from memory. One race is, I think they won here at the previous regatta, but for sure they were just getting themselves into their stride when they had that disaster hitting an object in the water, so all that will be kind of put behind them when they come through the finish line. So this could be a pivotal moment. It may just be a transient win, but it's always fascinating. We've spent the early part of the day with Harm for various different interviews, but just saying, finding this season quite tough emotionally, and so this will ground them back, if you like, into the mindset of being world champions, I'm sure. Vasco, they're just looking back upwind to see who's behind and how far behind. I think Sled have got themselves into Allegri just a little bit. Yep. So Platoon Aviation come through finish line, getting their first race win of this regatta. They look content rather than jubilant. And probably a measure of relief as well. So Allegri come through for second, with Sled third. Good result for them as well, of course. Did 2-2 and then a 9-6, so a third for them. We'll move them up to third place again. But Allegra really pushing hard on Gladiator's lead. So going to be close there, just watching now. This is the key, actually. Gladiator under just a little bit of pressure, but Interlodge through for fourth. And in the end, it's a 17-point aggregate for Gladiator after today. 12 and 5 for 17. Allegra 16 and 2 for 18. And Sled going 19 plus 3. They're on 22. But for sure, Platoon moving themselves up the leaderboard by virtue of that win. A little bit of a disappointing 8th then for Quantum Racing powered by American Magic. Just didn't get the right side of the course. They were on the wrong side of that first shift. Unfortunately, it was quite a big shift. And there was no recovery for them. Really, Quantum, Paprec and Vayu were quite a long way behind by the windward mark. but you're just getting the kind of first look at the, certainly the light is fading just a little bit, but I'll be surprised if we have a second race. But AP is over A, I've just heard in my ear. So the fleet are coming back ashore. But so a good race win for Platoon Aviation. That was a win which was built from the start line. They started at the committee boat end of the line, as Louise said, not really perfectly timed, but nicely positioned, got themselves out to the right. They recognised that, as did Allegri and Sled to a greater or lesser degree, and they were the top three boats all the way around the course. Unfortunately, as I said, Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, and Paprec in particular, and Vayu were also away out on the left side. It was good to see that Gladiator, though Gladiator did start off the pin end of the line and worked that left side, but they recognised that the breeze was in the right and got it back into the fleet just in time, and really a certain amount of credit to them for not being hung out to dry on that left side. So Gladiator then still on the top of the table, Allegra pushing hard, Sled coming back after a pretty up and down day yesterday. Great to see Interlogis back on the water. Unfortunately, they had their technical problem yesterday that kept them tied to the dock in the Safe Harbour Newport boatyard, where we're all based. And food for thought then for Platoon. I think there we go, just what we're waiting for then. As we said, the Gladiator then leading by 1 point, 3 wins in succession, then a fifth. Allegra consistent, and they now have 4 points over Sled. Platoon Aviation moving up to fourth, very definitely in contention and within reach of the podium at least. Vayu, unfortunately, not quite so good today, with a very expensive 10th place, dropping to 5th. Alpha Plus in 6th. They've been really quite consistent. 555, 7-6. Pretty impressive for a team which is not long into the circuit, only joined us last year, but very much on the rise. Quantum Racing, powered by American Magic, disappointing day for them. Paprec in 8th and Phoenix in 9th, Interlodge in 10th. So good to get a race away. Massive kudos to our race team and all the sailors, all the teams for being patient and giving some nice action. Do join us again tomorrow. Hopefully we should get a couple of races in. Forecast is not ideal, but thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Palm Beach Motor Yachts is proud to support the Rolex TP52 World Championship. The competitive spirit and drive for excellence is at the heart of all Palm Beach Motor Yachts. It's a privilege to showcase our 2 flagship models, the beautiful Palm Beach 70 and the exhilarating Palm Beach GT60. Built using our proprietary V-Warp technology, delivering class-leading speed, performance, and unrivaled fuel efficiency. Experience a true yachtsman's powerboat. PalmBeachMotorYachts.com.